Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Victory Drive. Man, what a fun past couple weeks we had. That episode with Father Stephen Gadberry went absolutely way better than I thought. I mean, he's such a great guy. Getting to have that conversation with him and be able to break it up into 2 episodes and do it that way worked out perfectly. And I just really thank him. Like, that was just it was a really fun episode. Episodes. And it meant a lot to me. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things as far as like the Catholic denomination goes, and kind of like Christianity in general. I've been a Christian my entire life, but I've never been a Catholic, so I didn't know a whole lot. And he did a great job answering all my questions. And I really hope you guys got something out of that. Like, it's been a thing with me. That I've been thinking about a lot lately, I guess. I've been very blessed in my life, whether it was my time in the Army and, not dying over there and doing the things that we did over there and all that stuff. I've been a very blessed guy in my life, and I never really knew where I wanted to go, but I always had in the back of my mind that, God has a plan for me, no matter how big or small that may be. And then obviously, working and doing everything else and raising a daughter and trying to be a good husband and all these things. It really, like, sitting there and talking to Father Stephen Gadberry kind of really helped re-zero my mind in that instance. And it's been really good to sit back and kind of think about it and all that stuff, not to get all weird on you guys about like kind of deep inside my personal life here, but having this podcast means a lot to me as well. And it's not huge. I'm not Joe Rogan or anyone or those other guys out there with giant podcasts and giant audiences and millions of people listening by any means, but you guys listening, it means a lot to me. It really does. And the new people listening that came over from, listening to Father Stephen Gadberry, I appreciate you guys, and all my longtime listeners. I really appreciate all of you. But it's been something that's been weighing on my mind, no matter how big or small this thing gets. I've always wanted to do my best and glorify Christ in my own way. I think you guys know, I don't mince my words. I grew up basically in blue-collar jobs and the military, being an infantryman and a field artillery guy. Also, acronym is FAG. So, field artillery guy and an infantryman, we don't mince our words. Like, we kind of speak how we speak, and it involves a lot of rough language sometimes, not suitable for little ears. So that's just kind of who I am, and I've always been that way, I guess, from growing up. And it's like a thing too where I'm always going to speak my mind and say what's out there, but I also want to try to do my best and glorify Christ as well as I can. I'm just an idiot out here in the world doing this thing. So that was me, I guess, trying to do my best is all I'm trying to say. And the feedback from that episode has been absolutely outstanding. And all you guys listening and that are new or old, I really appreciate each and every single one of you. And like I said, I'm not going to make this a big, long intro. This episode is just me talking anyways. It's going to be a solo episode about Canada and their gun control policy. So we're really getting right back into Victory Drive stuff. So if you came over here for solely for like Christian content, that's not what this is. Victory Drive is hunting, firearms, Second Amendment advocacy. I am a Second Amendment absolutist. I think all gun rights are all gun control are infringements on our Second Amendment rights. I'm an absolutist in that sense. I'm an absolutist in the sense of the First Amendment and all that stuff. So I really love this country. I love America, and I love what America is and what it stands out to be, a beacon of light in the world. But that also is what we are called to be as Christians, is a beacon of light on the hill and that kind of thing. I feel like America being put here by a bunch of Protestants that got pushed out of Britain, essentially. I have a lot of respect for them and what they did and how they set this country up. And, I just don't want to see this country fall into the wrong hands and go down a hole, a way that other countries are. We are a beacon of light. We are the best country in the entire world. We have as much freedom as we can, I guess. I mean, we can always have more, but we have. It's America. We're Americans. That's all there is to say about that, I guess. And I just want to keep America the way it is. I am a conservative in that sense of the meaning, not necessarily a Republican in my political ideology, but I am a conservative in that I want to conserve America at its core as best as I can. And like I said, I'm going to do everything I can to not only glorify Christ, but also try to keep bring to light stuff that's happening in the gun world, in the Second Amendment world, that maybe some people kind of looked over or don't have the time to really dig deep into this stuff, because this eats at me. I look at this stuff all the time. I'm constantly on the internet scouring shit that other countries are doing and other states and stuff. We talked about Virginia a while back and all the crazy shit that Spanberger's doing over there, as far as Virginia goes. And now we're going to aim our sights at Canada now, figuratively, obviously, in what they've been doing over there. And it's not good. Not good at all. Very much not good. But I just want to give that little introduction, because there's been a lot of new people listening to Victory Drive. I just wanted to kind of put that stuff out there. I'm not saying I'm never going to talk about God and Jesus and other pastors or priests or anyone else in the Christian world by any means. I'm going to do that a lot, but it just needs to be the right person. And at the time, Father Stephen Gadbury was the right person for that conversation. And so that's about it. That's about all I got for that. I just wanted to kind of give a brief summary on Victory Drive and what we're going to be talking about today, and then what we talked about the past couple weeks and everything else in the whirlwind that has been. It's been great. So that's pretty much that. But I also need to talk about, you guys know it, they've been here forever, Grizzly Coolers. Grizzly Coolers, made right here in Iowa, right down the road in Decorah, Iowa, actually, making grade A coolers and grade A drinkware with awesome hunting binds. They're the best. They're the best around. They're the best. Best people, best products, best everything. They're awesome. I really appreciate them. They've been with Victory Drive ever since the beginning, and I will always appreciate them for that. But if you're in the market for a good cooler, drinkware, whatever else may be, check out Grizzly Coolers. They're absolutely killing the game in their niche, and I am here for it. You can use code WCB at checkout to save some money, and it just kind of shows the Victory Drive love to Grizzly Coolers, but it also helps the entire network. They're on with the entire network, the entire WCB network, and you can show some love by showing them some love. As long as you're in the market for a cooler, don't go to Walmart and buy some fucking shitty styrofoam cooler. Obviously, if you're on, it's on a whim, you need something that weekend, whatever. But buy something that lasts. Buy something American made, not made from China, not made from bullshit overseas. American made coolers, Grizzly. Check them out. Code WCB. All right. With that said, we'll go ahead and jump right in the show. All right, guys, like I said, this episode is pretty much all about Canada and kind of the garbage they've been spewing over across the border. Some people call, our northern neighbors, Canadians, Albertans, which Alberta is kind of the Texas of Canada. They're great. They've been trying to secede from Canada for a little while. There's a small amount of people. It's growing, but a certain amount of people in Alberta, Canada, that have been wanting to peel away from the rest of the rest of Canada and do their own thing. Kind of like Texas, I guess. That's kind of where that came from, I guess, the Texas of Canada. But there's a lot of stuff going up there with our northern neighbors. Some people also call them snow Mexicans. I'm not one of them, but some people, I've heard that. I've heard it before. People calling Canadians snow Mexicans, and that we need to build a wall up north as well. Cut off the northern border and cut off the southern border in America. We're here. Got to check in before you get in, kind of thing. Which honestly probably may not be the worst decision, because there's been a lot of shit coming across Canadian borders as well that a lot of people don't think about. A lot of fentanyl. The cartels are navigating the northern hemisphere more and more as we close up the southern border and making it harder for the cartels to bring fentanyl and all that bullshit across the border. From the south, they've been like, hey, we're going to circumvent the south and go from the north, because no one gives a fuck about Canada and Canadians coming into America, so we're going to try it from up there. That has been happening, and there's been a certain amount of people, like I said, I'm not one of them, they're like, close off the snow Mexicans as well, let's cut them off and everything else. And honestly, I'm not for it. I think we need to have good relations with our northern friends up there. There's a lot of you guys up there, and a lot of you mean very well. However, your government is really not great. And I know you guys ousted Justin Trudeau and all that stuff, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that he did before he left office. But, man, come on. This stuff ain't good. Not good here in Canada stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start back in 2020. We all know that year. That year held global ramifications. Not good stuff happened in 2020. A lot of things, a lot of infringements on our rights, making us get stabbed, with a certain vaccine that may or may not be in testing phase still. So a lot of stuff stemmed from the 2020, but specifically in Canada, staying on subject here, that's when there was a shooting in Nova Scotia. And just like every other anti-gun policy, it all stems from a shooting, a mass shooting, a psychopath deciding to gun down a bunch of helpless people and take a bunch of lives to, while with them, So there's a shooting in Nova Scotia, and the Canadian government, Trudeau specifically, is like, fuck these guns. We got to get these guns out of here. We got to get them out. They're making us unsafe. This guy shot a bunch of people and did a very terrible thing. And now we got to ban the guns that he used. So they decided, hey, we're going to use a sweeping Canadian bill and just make, all of a sudden out of nowhere, like, hey, assault style weapons. We've all heard that before. Assault-style semi-automatic weapons, no good, no more. They outlawed over 2,500 makes and models, and they even had it in there that they're gonna, keep it kind of open. Gonna keep it kind of open for translation. We're gonna keep this going, and we're gonna open for anything else that we decide is not safe enough for the general population to have. So banned a bunch of guns in 2020. That was the first assault-style firearms ban in Canada that I know of, I guess. So they banned a bunch of guns, and then fast forward to about 2020 to 2023, they came out with this quote-unquote evergreen gun control package. That became law. It says here is reintroduced in May of 2022, and it also instituted a national handgun freeze. So that is when no new sales of handguns, no new purchases, and no transfers of handguns for most civilians. They essentially banned handguns. Said you can't sell them here, can't buy them, can't transfer them. They did have a grandfather clause in there where it's like, hey, If you have the guns, you got them. You're like, whatever. But we're not selling anymore. We're not transferring any of them. If you have one, it dies with you. You don't get to transfer it anywhere. You don't get to sell it to anybody else. But you can keep it. You can keep it for now. But they kept that open for translation as well. They kept it open just in case they want to add some more stuff in there and kind of tweak it a little bit. So they're being very sneaky. And the problem here that we're seeing with Canada is that Canadians don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have anything in their constitution saying they have the right to keep and bear arms. So the Canadian government gets away with a lot of this stuff. They get away with a lot of it because it's not protected. It's not the Canadians don't look at gun rights or the Constitution, and they don't have a Bill of Rights. They don't look at rights like that as God-given rights. So, like Americans, we look at our Bill of Rights. The Constitution is constraining the federal government, which we, how much constraint is there even right now? We're obviously not abiding by the Constitution today in America either. But anyways, the Bill of Rights specifically, we talked about that a while back as well, the true intent of the Second Amendment. And Canadians don't have that. They don't have a Bill of Rights protecting these things, these God-given rights. Like Americans, we look at them as God-given rights. The Bill of Rights doesn't give us rights. The Constitution doesn't give us, they protect rights that are already inherent and already seen as God-given rights. Canada doesn't have any of that stuff because I think it's because when they became Canada and started governing themselves outside of British rule, they decided to keep the British monarchy at the head of their thing. They're like, king and queen. Yes, we respect and listen to you still. We want our freedom to do our own thing, but only by a little bit. And they also implemented a British parliamentary type system, type of governance, which we robbed a lot from as well. I mean, let's face it, at the time, back in the 1700s, 1800s, Britain was killing it. The British, they were the men. They were the guys. They were the ones on top of the world. And we were like, fuck you guys. We want to do our own thing, period. Canada's like, we want to do our own thing, kind of. And, so they don't have a Bill of Rights that is protecting their God-given rights to self-defense and to fight back a tyrannical government. And this is what a tyrannical government looks like. You have some psychopaths that decide to do some bad things. Not even bad things, horrible things. Terribly, terribly horrible things. And they're like, we're just going to take the guns. Obviously, you people are, and by you people, I mean the general population of Canada, you guys can't handle the freedom to have these types of guns. But we also realize that there's a lot of hunting and fishing that goes on in Canada. So we're not going to take all the guns, just the dirty assault rifles, just the dirty ones, the mean looking ones, the ones that fire, 1,000 clips per minute a second. You know what I mean? You reload one time, you can kill billions and trillions and trillions of people. So they just say, we're just going to take the mean ones. You guys can keep your nice guns, the ones with less than 6 rounds in a magazine. If you have a detachable box magazine, then, you should only need about 6. That's a weird arbitrary number, but 6 seems appropriate for Canadians to have. They can't be trusted with anything more than 6, though. If they had 7, now they're murderers or potential murderers. But if you have 6 or less, then you're good to go. Just a Canadian out there to, hunt some moose or something, or some deer or whatever it is. But anything more than 6, your only intent with that gun is to kill billions and trillions and billions and jillions of people. So we can't have that. Can't have those dirty guns. So we're going to take them from you. And there's not really a whole lot you can do about it besides cry and say, no, Daddy, please don't do this to me. Or you cannot comply. You cannot comply, and you can say, I'm not giving up my guns. And at this time, back in 2023, they're like, all right, if you have your gun, you got your gun. You got your gun, you got your gun. It is what it is. You have a gun, you got it. That's fine for now. But we're just not going to buy any more guns. And then we're going to start prohibiting certain other, parts, like gun parts and stuff. Now, okay, if you shoot out your barrel, it is what it is. You can't get a new barrel for it, whatever. But if you got your gun, you got your gun. You got your gun, it's fine. You can keep it for now. Until recently. And it was, so like, let's go back to 2024 and 2025. This is when shit starts getting a little hairy, right? You got your gun, you get to keep your gun for now. Well, they just came through and they banned a shit ton more different assault-style weapons. And they started instituting an assault-style firearms compensation program. That's what they call it, an assault-style firearms compensation program. Also, for us laymen, known as a buyback, a gun buyback. And this is where it starts getting very, very interesting. So they started this buyback program, and I can't remember this guy's name. I should have looked it up maybe before I started recording, but I hit record, and here we are. This Indian feller, he's in charge of like some government service up there, like the health services or something like that. Either way, he's up there talking. He's like, gun buyback, totally voluntary. Completely voluntary gun buyback program. If you have one of those scary, dirty, nasty guns, we will buy them back from you. The Canadian government will take your gun, and we will do what we want with it, and we will give you some money. Probably some arbitrary number. Probably some arbitrary fucking figure. But we'll give you some money. We'll compensate you for that scary gun, and we will do what we do with that gun. We will keep it safe. We will destroy it. We will sell it to the cartel. I don't know. Whatever. But we'll take that gun and we will take it from you because obviously you can't be trusted with it. So you can't be trusted with it. So what are you going to do with this gun? We'll buy it from you. The Canadian government's like, we'll buy it from you. We'll keep it safe. We'll do what we want to do with it because you can't be trusted. So we'll take it from you and then we'll give you a little bit of money for it. Well, that ended. The amnesty ended. So he was talking. I specifically remember him talking. They're like, oh, the opposition party or the more conservative party in Canada. They're like, okay, well, hey, dude, what are we going to do about these guns? And what about the people that don't give them back? What about the people that don't sell them back, sell them to the government? What do we do then? He's like, well, then we'll start a collection service. A collection service, as he called it. Also, what we would like to call, as laymen would like to call, a confiscation program. So now they're talking that they're going to go door to door and start taking these guns because they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to amnesty, buy it back, They did extend that amnesty until October 30th, 2026. The gun buyback is still the thing, but the amnesty is still going, but they're figuring it out. But that's what I'm getting at. These people, they always say, we're not going to take your guns. We're not going to come for your guns. We're not coming for your hunting guns or your these guns or those guns or whatever else. We just want to make people safe. Every single gun regulation and gun control law that goes through ultimately leads to confiscation because when an amnesty program and a gun buyback program does not work, and in Canada, it really didn't work. I mean, some of these numbers are absolutely insane. Like through the buyback program, we're talking, only about 67,000-ish firearms have been declared by 37,000 some odd owners. Roughly half of, this is just Ottawa, but roughly half of those were taken in. So, like, we're talking like this is not a very popular thing. Like the compliance rate on this gun buyback program is about, like, from the figures I was getting, about 1.5% to about 7% is what they're kind of getting at. There's not a whole lot of super hard numbers here, but we're talking about like a 90+% non-compliance rate. So that means like 90+% of Canada, and this is probably mostly Alberta and Saskatchewan, those areas where they're like, fuck you, we're keeping our guns. Fuck you, buddy. Hey, fuck you. We're keeping our guns. We're not going to give them back. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You going to come get them? You going to come to my house, knock on my door and be like, oi, partner, we need your guns? And I say, no. What do you do then? What are you going to do? So they're calling their bluff a little bit there in Canada. 90+% of gun owners are saying, no, we're not doing it. And it's going to lead to confiscation. That's what it is. But they're thankfully, thank God, there's a lot of cops and law enforcement agencies in Alberta and Saskatchewan, those areas that are like, we're not going to do it, boys. Hey, boys, we're not going to do it. We're not going to go door to door for you and take these fine people's guns. We like guns. We like them. We want to be able to protect ourselves and our families, and we want to be able to go hunting with whatever we want, or just go in the backyard and shoot some targets and have some fun and do that thing. We like to have a range day every once in a while. We're not going to give them back up. So a lot of law enforcement officers are like, no, guys, we're not doing it. So that would leave the what do they call them? The RMCP, the Royal Mounted Canada Police. I think that's what it stands for. It leaves them to be the ones to go door to door to take them. And the opposition party is like, my brother in Christ, what are we doing here? We don't have the manpower for this. We certainly don't want RMCP, the Royal Mounties, these guys with some really weird pants and a weird hat. We don't want them going door to door, getting shot up, because that's what you're asking for. You're asking for an uprising a little bit here. You're asking for a lot, and that leads officers into danger. But it also takes a lot of resources away from the rest of the country, which they have a lot of issues. They have a lot of crime issues in Canada, actually, going on right now with the fentanyl and everything else that we already talked about, and some other issues. They have an immigration issue. They have a lot of things going on. And they're like, we're going to steal resources to go after people's guns that aren't even doing anything wrong. You want us to go door to door to law-abiding citizens and take their guns? And then the other side says, well, they're not law-abiding citizens because we made this law. And we said, you got to give us your guns. And so they're not exactly law-abiding when we change the law out of nowhere and say, now you can't have this. Now you can't have this nice thing that you like. You cannot have that no more. So you make a law that immediately makes a bunch of people, you're right. They were law-abiding citizens. Now they're not. Now they're felons. I don't know. Now they're criminals. It's crazy. So, but that's what it leads to. And they were talking, they're going to send some retired police officers, like some old guy, some old fucking Mountie that's sitting at home, like drinking cider. He's just like, hey, fuck, I don't know. Pull me out of retirement. I'd love to go door to door. I'm 67 years old, motherfucker. I'd love to go door to door, kick in some doors and say, bro, hey, give me your guns. I'd love to do that. Sounds like a great time. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a great retirement plan. Kicking in doors on law-abiding citizens' homes, saying, give me your guns or you're going to prison. So they also institute a lot of steep fines and steep prison sentences for people that don't comply, and traffickers especially, because I guess there's a big gun trafficking thing where people come to America and get guns and then take them up north. Okay. All right. Yeah. So gun trafficking is a big thing up north, I guess, and they're really strict, getting strict on them, but they're going to have retired police officers go door to door saying, give me your guns. Then none of that stuff makes sense. You literally can't make it up. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Some of the costs here, like we're talking, $20,000 to $25,000 in tax money to confiscate a gun. That's what they're estimating. They're estimating the cost to taxpayers for the to bring old fucking Joey Armstrong from retirement and say, hey, you need to go to this guy's door, and it's going to cost like $20,000 to $25,000 per gun confiscated, essentially, is what they're estimating. That seems like a lot of money. Are they giving them $25,000 per gun in this gun buyback program? Highly unlikely. Well, they're very willing to spend that money to go door to door, to kick in your door and say, give me your guns. And that is what I'm getting at. And I bring this to light from our neighbors up north. I bring it to light here because this is important to look at, this kind of stuff, because we're seeing this in America right now. We're seeing it in Virginia. We've been seeing it in New York. We've been seeing it in Illinois. We've been seeing it in California and all these other states that decide that you are no longer to be trusted with a gun because certain other people decide to do bad things. Like when I was in the Army, we called that, group punishment. Group punishment. This guy fucks up. Everyone's getting punished. Everyone's doing push-ups. Fucking roster number 1, 2, 3 over there decided that he was going to not tuck in his bootlaces, and he had bootlaces dangling out. Everyone's getting fucked up. Everyone's doing push-ups. Hey, everyone drop. Everyone drop because roster number 1, 2, 3 over here decided to be a big pile of crap. Decided to be a big pile of crap, so we're all going to be doing push-ups today, boys, until I get tired, motherfucker. That's what they're saying. But when it comes to the government, it's like, hey, since, freaking what's his nuts decided to shoot a bunch of kids up, now no one can have guns. No one can have nice things now because some dickhead decided that he was going to be a terrible, disgusting, terrible, evil person. So now everyone gets in trouble. It's an old line. It's a tale as old as time, some would say, but it's just, it's truly dreadful. And I like to bring this stuff up to light because it's important to talk about, because what's happening up north is what a lot of politicians want to happen down here. A lot of politicians would love to go door to door with the ATF and kick in your door and say, give me your guns, buddy. They would love to do that. They would love to. And it's kind of it's like a progressive wet dream, some would say, that they get to go door to door and make the ATF kick in your door, burn your house down, kill your whole family and your dog. They would love to see that. Some people in this country would love to see that. Just like Waco. Now, do I agree with the Branch Davidians? Do I think they were great people? I don't know. This happened before I could even think about gun laws. But last time I checked, we live in a free country, and if some people decide they want to live in a compound and have some dude saying that he is a prophet or whatever it was, and then have him like bang their wife or something like that, I don't know what kind of weird stuff they were doing. They're doing all sorts of weird stuff. But if they decide that they wanted to live in this compound with a bunch of other people, who's to say that they can't? Who's to say that they can't? And who's to say that they can't have guns? Who's to say that? The government? The ATF? Do they get to choose? They get to choose where you live and how you conduct your life? They get to choose what you can and cannot own? They get to choose what you can and cannot say? Because Waco and Ruby Ridge, those are two other situations that, that is blatant, dude. That is blatant. Came to your house, said, give it up, buddy, or you're going to die. You're going to die. And die they did. I think they ended up killing like 70 some odd women and children in Waco. The ATF. Yep. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. They went to Waco, Texas, said, give me your guns or you're going to die. And then they proceeded to kill them all, burnt them to rubble, burnt it to the ground, killing 70 plus women and children. Ruby Ridge in Idaho, they decided, hey, give me your guns, buddy. You're this, that, and the other, and we don't agree with what you're saying, so you can't have guns no more. Then they went to Idaho, killed his wife, killed his son. Terrible, terrible, nasty things. But that's the government for you. The government says there can be only one bad guy in this town, that's me. There can be only one mass murderer in this town, and that is me, the government. That is what they like to say. I don't want death or upon anybody. I want us all to live in one big happy family. And as a Christian, I can sit here and say, our rights are granted to us by our Creator. Whether you believe in him or not, he believes in you. And this stuff, these rights, these human rights, they supersede all these man-made laws. They supersede what the government says and what Jerry down the road says and what all these other people say. It supersedes that. So even Jesus said, hey, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. I'm not saying that we need to conduct violence. I don't want that. But the best deterrent to violence is an armed population, and that is blatantly obvious. That is 100% obvious. So that leads me to think that the only reason why some of these politicians want to take our guns is because they want unfettered power. They want to be able to take your guns so they can tell you, you can say this, you can say that, you can do this, you can only do that. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So, I mean, we just can't let that happen. Not in America. Not here. We got to keep fighting it tooth and nail. And that starts with every voice, no matter how big or small it is. You need to be out there. You need to talk about this stuff. You need to enact this stuff. And you need to say, not here. We're not going to be the next Waco. We're not going to be the next Ruby Ridge. We're going to keep our guns. And we're going to stay protected. I don't want violence, but if violence comes to me, I'm here to stop it. The violence ends with me is what the attitude we should all have. And that starts with getting a gun. It starts there. It starts by asking the stupid questions. It starts by going to a gun shop and saying, hey, I want to protect myself. I don't want to use this gun outside of having fun in the backyard or at a range or something like that. I don't want to have to use my handgun or my rifle or my shotgun unless it's hunting or shooting targets. But if I have to use it, I want it. It's like having a fire extinguisher. I don't ever want a fire in my house. That comes with prevention, right? I don't put stuff on my stove and turn the burner on and walk away. I don't put a pile of paper on my stove and then walk away and turn it on. I don't do that. That's stupid. That leads to a fire and leads to my house burning down. But let's say a fire starts. Let's say an electrical fire starts in one of your rooms. You want to be able to mitigate damage, right, to your stuff in your family. If you have a fire extinguisher, you can put it out. Same with a gun. I don't want to have to use my gun. I want to avoid and deter violence. And that starts with creating a hard target. That starts with locking your doors and all these other things, all these other different things that no one even thinks about, and they do them. But it also comes with carrying a gun. But it also comes with knowing how to use it. So that's step 2. You get your gun. And then step 2, you got to learn how to use it. So you got to go to someone that knows what the fuck they're talking about and learn how to use that gun. But that's all of our attitudes should be there, where I don't want to use this thing. I don't want violence, but if violence comes to me, I need to know that I can stop it in its tracks. And that starts here. And it starts with government allowing the citizens that they trust to do other things. We trust them to drive a car. We trust them to go to work and be taxpayers and contribute to society. But we don't trust you as the government. We don't trust you to carry a gun and own a gun and defend yourself and your family. Like, that's basic. That's basic human rights. And in Canada, they're saying, no, you can't have that anymore. You can have a bolt action Winchester Model 70, but you can't have, a fucking not a SIG. I'm not going to say that. Don't get me started. I don't know why that came to my mind. I was thinking about the P320 or something, I guess. But, a Winchester Model 70 and also, a Sons of Liberty AR-15. It's just a tool. It's just a tool. If you ban the tool, then, that's not stopping the root of evil here. The root of evil starts in society. It starts with every one of us doing the right thing and all that stuff, right? It also starts with being maybe a little bit kinder to each other. Maybe a little bit kinder, but not too kind, where we're starting to let people live their lives, but kind enough, you know what I mean? So society needs to change here, probably, but that is the root of it. Banning a gun is not going to stop violence. We see that in the UK too. People are getting stabbed to death, like, machetes and fucking swords in the streets of the UK. It's crazy. The violence, banning guns doesn't end evil. Killing evil and taking evil out of your society is what gets rid of evil. So that's my rant on Canada a little bit and on the Second Amendment this week. Like I said, I wanted to keep this episode a little bit shorter this week and just kind of get out there and speak my mind, because this Canada stuff has been bothering me for a little bit, because it's not that far away. It's not the UK. It's not Britain. It's not fucking Wales. It's not the Australia. It's right at our next. It's our next door neighbors, and we have people in our own family here in America trying to do the same shit that they're doing up there. We can't let it happen. We gotta. I don't know. I mean, I don't like the government. Matter of fact, I think they're all cowards. I think most of these politicians are only in it for themselves. There's a select few that maybe they're okay, like Thomas Massey. He might be okay. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know him personally, but he seems all right. But most of them are in it for themselves. Like Donald Trump, probably doesn't have America's best interests in mind when he's bombing the fuck out of Iran. Probably doesn't have America's best interests in mind when the first thing he thinks about when he wakes up in the morning is how Israel's doing. That's not what we're here for. I want America first, man. That's what you ran on. That's why we voted you in. So there's a lot of politicians that they say a lot of things. They talk a lot of stuff up. They're like, oh, I'm going to be the most pro-2A president in history. All of these things and all these lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. But we need better people running this motherfucker is what we need. I don't know how to do that, but we need something. And there's not much we can do about that, but we can change ourselves. That's what we can do. And I think that is going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of people to do a lot of changing. But, at the end of the day, we got to protect what we have and go from there and do the best we can. So with all that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the last few episodes I've put out. I'm having a blast. We have a lot of really cool things coming down the pipeline in the future here. And, hopefully I can get my brother to come back on and talk more about some of this stuff. And this summer's going to be good. So hope you guys can keep up and pay attention and, stick along for the ride. Stay here for the ride. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.